One day, Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru were sitting somewhere above this world. And Nehru looked really sad, a little upset. So Gandhi was like, "Hey, bro, why that sad look? What's up?" And Nehru was like, I was thinking we did so much for the country, for the people. So much time has passed. I wonder if people still remember us, especially, these young ones who were born at a time when we were already free. Would they even remember us? Would they even think of us? We sacrificed our whole lives for them. And Gandhi was like, "Oh, come on now, Nehru. They talk about us everywhere, and all the books, our names are there. How can they possibly forget about us?" And Nehru is shaking his head and he was like, "Oh, you don't know, Gandhi, you don't know." So Gandhi is like, "I'll prove it to you." And so Gandhi takes a quick bus and arrives on Earth and comes to India, dressed as a new age Gandhi, a new cool dude, just another person today. And he goes around meeting people, hoping to be recognized both by his appearance and for the contribution that he did for the independence of this country. Much to his sorrow, no one recognizes him, leave alone recognize the contributions that he made for the country. Gandhi is really sad now. He's like, "Yeah, Nehru, I understand now what you were saying, bro. They really don't care and they really don't remember us anymore." So, to overcome his pain, Gandhi decides to drown his sorrows and goes into a bar. He's sitting at the table and there are some girls dancing in the bar. When suddenly, one of the girls hops up to him and she's like, "Hey, Gandhi, long time no see." And Gandhi is like, "Huh? How do you know me? Wow, somebody has finally recognized me. How do you know me, lady?" She's like, "अरे गांधी, तुमने मुझे नहीं पहचाना? मैं कस्तूरबा." Hello and welcome. Welcome back to the ones who've been with us in the previous season of the picnic, and welcome to the ones who are joining us for the first time. If I could request all of you to please switch on your cameras. It's just so nice to see faces instead of blank gray slates, just different gray colors. Hi. Hi, Aditi. Yes, please, please. Even if it's just for 2, 3 minutes, at least I can see everyone. It's so nice to see all of you. Hi. Unfortunately, some of our friends couldn't join us today. They had something come up at the last moment, so some of them are giving the picnic a miss. But thanks to recording all of this on Google Teams, oh, sorry, Microsoft Teams, we will have a video recording of this whole session from the start till the end, which we'll be sharing with everyone. So, yeah, that's the good news. In case you sign up and you miss the picnic, you will receive a video recording of the same. So, before I get into the questions, before I get into the theme, um, I first wanted to talk a little about, the behind the scenes story of what happened when the picnic was last closed for the season and what happened in the in between and how it made a comeback. So, so when I had last held the picnic, I had already started making plans for the next one, thinking of formats, thinking of ideas. But as time passed and I was in a hibernation mode, um, I realized that I didn't want to do it anymore. And some new changes happened in my life, which required my focus in that direction. And to me, it felt like the picnic was taking up so much of my time and energy that I felt that it was something that I had to let go of. It wasn't leaving me space to concentrate on these other creative processes that I wished to be part of and wished to bring more of in my life. And very sadly and very regretfully, I decided that maybe it's time to let go of the picnic. And the fundamental reason which caused that thing to happen was, till the last season of the picnic, um, a lot of the work which was done as mystical was with a lot of focus on the other people, right? There was a lot of centeredness on other people, what people need, and devoting a lot of my time and energy towards other people. And there was this very drastic shift in my consciousness where, for the first time ever in my life, I felt like I had come home because I was completely with myself. I was right here with myself, and I just wanted to do things for myself. And not just like in a selfish way, but in a self-centered way where you're realizing and you're recognizing what your true um, desires are, and you kind of want to move in that direction. And the picnic, because there's a lot of intensive preparation which it required for me on a monthly basis. For everybody else it was just a day, for me it was literally at least 2 to 3 weeks of preparation, and it was a lot to give and a lot to prepare. So I realized that it was unreasonable and unsustainable. So that's when I announced that the picnic would not be happening anymore. And I also realized that I was just giving myself too much importance. I was too much emphasis. And is the internet bad? Am I getting stuck?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay, wait. I just had a feeling because my internet is a little glitchy today. Okay, my signal is full. No, that's okay. We'll just go with it today. Okay. So, yeah, where was I? Yeah. And so I let go of it. I just felt that was the right thing to do. And I had to surrender to it completely. I love doing it so much, and it was a very difficult thing to do, but I did it because that was what felt like the right thing to do in that moment. And then time passed, and a lot of you reached out asking about it, and a lot of people repeatedly asked about it, that when is it going to happen, despite me saying that it's not going to happen. People would not say, are you going to do it? People would be like, when are you going to do it? And that always used to strike me, because people might think they're just asking a very basic question, but I pay a lot of attention to everything that comes my way. And then last month, I think this was last month, and I kind of felt like, I probably need to start doing this again. And I was not sure how it's going to happen because I'd already begun those creative processes, spending my time on it. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And then there's this thing called Lionsgate portal, which opens every year from about 25th of July to 8th of August, in which there's a lot of um, awakening of your consciousness, a lot of healing which happens. You get a lot of understanding, insights. And it was one of these nights I was sleeping and I was literally woken up. Like there was so much energy coming in. Like I was like, whoa. Like my eyes literally like popped open. I was like, what's happening? And I realized there's something is coming in and I had to just sit with it. And that poster that everyone has seen, that red dot on that white background, it was literally shown to me that this is how the poster is going to look like, this is how the format is going to be like, and this is how it's going to be done. And I was like, oh, hey, yeah, that solves my problems. People are going to ask questions. I'm not going to think anything. I will not take on the responsibility of the content, because that is really what took up most of, my energy, the preparation. And then I was like, arey, but ye hoga, wo hoga. And then slowly, slowly, as the days, started unfolding, the clarity started coming in. And the very next day after I received that, I won't say command, but it was more like, ये तो होना है, मैं तुम कर लो, वो बाकी हमें नहीं पता तुम कैसे figure out करोगी, ये तो होना है. And and the very next day I announced it on social media and everywhere, writing coming soon. I had no idea what's going to happen, but I knew that I had to put in that commitment. I knew that I had to sort of, sign that agreement that yes, we'll be doing this, and I'll read the terms and conditions later. So it was literally a jump into the unknown. It was fun, and I was amazed and happy with the kind of trust that I was feeling. For a change, I was not thinking about kya hoga. It was like, ah, इतना कुछ तो बता ही दिया है, आगे का भी सब बता ही देंगे. Tension नहीं लेने का. So here we are, and this whole idea of the new format, the core emphasis is really about making it not centered on Mystical, but rather opening it up to everybody who's part of the picnic. And so obviously that involves reducing my responsibility and sharing that with the rest of you, whoever wishes to be a part of it. Which is great because it gives everybody a chance to grow more, and also to sort of decide how we want to take this forward. And I'm just sort of the collating point and sort of like the hub, but I'm not the one who's driving the vehicle anymore, if that is the way I would say it. And there's a lot of emphasis now on people realizing that whatever you have, you know, felt or thought that, oh, this is what Mystical says, or this is what Mystical has experienced, that it is possible for me as well. Like, this is an experience, these are states, these are things which are possible for everyone. And even the guided meditations are undergoing a shift in that direction. It's a more self experiential sort of process now, instead of one person sort of just giving it to you and you're like, ah, this is nice, like we'll just take it. So it's a lot of growing up, it's a lot of taking up responsibility for yourself, which is something I've always emphasized, which is something I've always spoken about, that until you're ready to sort of take responsibility for yourself, there really isn't much growth that you can see in any sphere of your life. So that was the background story. And अगर किसी को सुन के डर लग रहा है कि अरे अब सारा काम हमें करना पड़ेगा, so you're free to leave right now if you wish to. काम सारा तो नहीं करना पड़ेगा, बट हाँ, अब काफ़ी काम करना पड़ेगा। मेरा काम बहुत कम हो गया। It was actually a much breezier process for me this time. I didn't have to worry about anything. It was just like बस ये बना के दे दिया सबको, and अब लोगों की इच्छा है और उनकी कृपा है जो वो करना चाहते हैं. So with that, the story which I shared earlier, it's a joke that I've been telling since I was a kid. And when I was thinking about the stories that came to my mind when I wished to share about shame, nothing was clicking with me. And then suddenly this just joke came to me, and I was like, ah, this is perfect, because it is literally like, and this morning only I realized that, wow, it's so apt. I'm going to share it on 15th of August. I didn't realize it till this morning. And so like I said, a lot of the stuff which is now happening here is just very much more divinely guided, and I really cannot take any responsibility for whatever goes on in the picnic anymore, except for obviously my participation. So this story, I felt was very befitting, because it really brings us to the idea that when shame comes in, there is a need to relive things because we don't live fully when it happens. तो फिर और जन्म लेने पड़ते हैं और रूप लेके आना पड़ता है क्योंकि पहली बार में पूरी तरह ठीक से नहीं जिए तो फिर से तो आना पड़ेगा नहीं तो कैसे होगा ना वो जो इनकम्प्लीट रह गया उसको पूरा करना पड़ता है so somebody like Kasturba who probably living with a celibate man like Gandhi probably had her uh, you know her sexual energy unexpressed and then she had to come down as a you know bar dancer to fulfill that expression. It has to come full circle before her soul can progress. And that's how really what shame is like. It splits us, it holds us back, it suppresses us, it denies us. We go into these states of denial because of the shame that we hold within. And really the single most all pervasive effect that shame has on us is that it prevents us from being ourselves fully in any given moment. That is really the core of it. Uh, from this little seed, that it prevents us from being ourselves fully, whatever it might be. Because, you know, when you're being yourself fully, there is no judgment. That seed then grows up into multiple branches because every time we are not being ourselves fully, we get split. We are not being ourselves fully, and something remains incomplete, something remains um, unfinished, right? So that is the core of it. What I'm going to do now, this is just a basic understanding of shame, and I'm going to get more into it with the questions now. What I've done is I've collated all your questions in one place and I've sort of put them in the order which I felt was conducive to this flow of conversation. So let's begin with that. So I'm going to read out the questions which I feel are relevant. Sometimes I might skip it depending on the time. The first question is, I wanted to know how we can identify what is shame. I do feel anxious when I'm performing and have a fear to be seen and judged. Would it count as shame? I think one basic understanding that I have gathered about shame is that whenever I feel shame, something inside me just contracts like this. Like you feel it in that very moment. When you feel shame, it'll be a physical sensation. You will feel like something inside you has contracted like that, right? It wants to be hidden. It doesn't want to be seen because it is ashamed of itself. It doesn't want to be seen, right? So that's really what we do with things that we are ashamed of. We cover it, we hide it. Like, for example, our body, our so called प्राइवेट पार्ट्स मतलब बाकी की बॉडी पब्लिक है लेकिन कुछ पार्ट्स हैं वो प्राइवेट है वो बेडरूम है बाकी का पूरा लिविंग रूम है so that's one thing I've realized. One way to recognize shame is to see that what are you hiding? What inside you is not willing to be seen? What is afraid of being seen? What is afraid of coming out in the open? It could be certain emotions, it could be certain desires, it could be a personality which you feel is actually more aligned with you, but you don't bring it out, you don't express it, and you hide it. And what you hide is what controls you. Okay. So when we hide something, it goes into the back burner. But from that back burner, it is like that master who is pulling my strings and I'm the puppet. Okay. And any kind of um, consciousness, awareness, awakening, and all these picnics what we're really trying to do is, cut those strings and realizing that the master all along had been you. And but you thought, you had convinced yourself, you believed that the master was somebody outside, and you had no option but to obey, and had no option but to go with it. And mostly what we do is, in that understanding, we put it and project it on the outside. My family controls me, my societal norms control me, my friends expectations control me, and blah blah blah. This person wants me to be this thing expects me to be like that. But essentially what all of this is just a projection of that back, master, who is us only. But because we are not willing to accept it, we put it outside of us, because we don't want to recognize that it's inside us, so we have to put it outside us. अगर मैंने ये मान लिया कि वो मेरे अंदर ही है, अगर मैं ये मान लूं कि जो मुझे कंट्रोल करता है या जो मेरे को चलाता है वो मेरे अंदर ही है, फिर तो मैं किसी को ब्लेम नहीं कर पाऊंगी। फिर तो सीन ही खत्म, तो खेल खत्म हो गया सारा ब्लेमिंग का। Then that will be very difficult, because then we'll have to take responsibility. So the whole idea of this thing, that this person is shaming me, when this question is talking about that, when I'm performing I have a fear of being judged. That fear of being judged is there because you have already judged yourself, and now you're afraid that others will do the same, right? You've already judged yourself, and now you're afraid that it's going to happen in the outside, because subconsciously we all understand कि अंदर जो हो रहा है वो बाहर होगा ही होगा. We might feel that we've read these concepts just in the last few years, or we never knew about it, but we always know this. It's just a matter of remembering. We never did not know this. Okay. And that's why we run away from it so much, because from the time we are born we are told other stuff which does not match. There's a clash, right? So that's what happens. I'm going to move to the next question now. um, I don't remember being taught about shame, and yet I have carried shame from an early childhood. I see it now. There's more to this question, but at this point what I want to say is that I see it now. This act of seeing, उसको देख लेना कि हाँ मेरे अंदर shame है, is a very very powerful point. Two things happen from this point. A, you turn your back on it और भाग जाते हो, नहीं 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 मुझे नहीं देखना कि मेरे अंदर shame है, मुझे नहीं जानना कि मेरे अंदर shame है जो मुझे control करती है. So either you turn back from it and deny it ever happened. What happened? Am I here, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They can hear me. Okay. I think Aman got disconnected. Okay. So the other part is, so one is either turn back from that point. अरे नहीं 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 मुझे नहीं देखना, because अगर उसको एक बार देख लिया तो इसका मतलब उसको और देखना पड़ेगा, तो उससे बेटर अभी भाग जाओ, दरवाजा बंद कर दो वापस. And the other is like, oh अच्छा ऐसा भी कुछ है, अच्छा और देखते हैं इसने और क्या कर रखा है मेरे अंदर. And then begins the process of exploration. So this is a very very powerful point. The very moment when you begin to see something inside you is a very revolutionary moment, just like a mini revolution which happens every time you recognize something inside you which you had not known about yourself before. Carrying on with the question, carrying shame for my surname, family, finances, body, and what not. Sometimes I felt it at my very core. This is an interesting point again, and I'm going to bring it here. So, if you will, next time you feel shame, you will realize that there will be some sort of tightness here. just above your belly button, ये जिसको अगर जो लोग जिम वगैरह जाते हैं वो भी बोलते हैं कि कोर स्ट्रॉन्ग करना है, कोर। तो वो सो कोर वही है। और shame actually is a very very big block of this area, because this is the part of us from where we express ourselves in the world. So shame blocks it. Shame doesn't let me be seen, right? So that's why this person who's sharing, they've written, I have felt it at my very core. It might have been possible that she or he might have felt it somewhere else, but there's a reason why, this person has used these words. I now see my mother carrying a lot of shame as well. Yes, जब आप खुद में देख लेते हो, आप फिर दूसरों में भी देखना शुरू कर देते हो. This is true for everything. The more you become aware of yourself, it's an automatic process. There is nothing else to it. Once you start becoming aware of yourself, you automatically start becoming aware of other people around you. Right? And that is the beginning of true compassion. वो कंपैशन नहीं होते, अरे अरे बेचारा उसकी मदद कर दो, वो बेचारापन है, वो कंपैशन नहीं है. दैट इज सिंपैथी. एंड दैट आल्सो कम्स मोस्टली फ्रॉम द ईगो. अरे ये बेचारा, मैं कर देता हूँ तुम्हारे लिए कुछ. ओके. बट ट्रू कंपैशन कम्स फ्रॉम रिकॉग्नाइजिंग दैट वी आर ऑल इन द सेम बोट. सबकी एक ही कहानी है. सो दैट इज द बिगिनिंग ऑफ कंपैशन. बट उस कंपैशन से पहले क्या आता है? जजमेंट. क्योंकि जब तक हम अपने शेम को रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं करते, एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते, उसको पूरी तरह प्यार नहीं देते, हम दूसरे के अंदर जब वो शेम देखते हैं, हम उसको भी वही करेंगे जो अपने अंदर कर रहे हैं. उसको क्रिटिसाइज करेंगे, उससे भागेंगे, उसको जज करेंगे, उसको डिनाई करेंगे, ऑल दोस थिंग्स. So yes, it's no wonder that this person started seeing the shame that their mother is carrying. And this is again a very critical point. I'm not sure if I'll have time for this, but we'll come back to this later. um, Mothers carrying shame, very very important, but I'm not sure if we'll have time for it. We'll come back to it. So I now see my mother carrying a lot of shame as well in being a woman, and what not. What I'm curious about is that once we identify the situations where we feel shame, how do we approach it and release the feeling? Okay. The whole approach of any difficult emotion really is to just be with it. It sounds है बस इतना ही, that's all you have to say about it. इतना आसान हो तो हम सब कर लेते हैं, बट एक्चुअली में इतना आसान है. डिफिकल्ट इसलिए है क्योंकि अभी तक हमने कभी सीखा नहीं, और इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ कि पता नहीं क्या करना है और सीखा नहीं अभी तक, तो उसको दबाया भी इतना है कि डर भी लगता है बहुत ज्यादा उससे. इट्स वेरी अनफेमिलियर टेरिटरी, अननोन है अपने इमोशंस को पूरी तरह फील करना. द लास्ट टाइम वी डिड दिस वाज प्रॉब्ली व्हेन वी आर सो यंग दैट वी डोंट इवन रिमेंबर मेमोरीज ऑफ दैट टाइम. हम बिल्कुल जब छोटे छोटे होते हैं, बच्चे अपने आप को फ्रीली एक्सप्रेस करते हैं. उसको गुस्सा आ रहा है, वो गुस्सा दिखा देता है. उसको रोना आ रहा है, वो रो देती है. वो थोड़ी सोचती है कि तुम सो रहे हो, तुम जाग रहे हो, तुम खाना खा रहे हो, या तुम्हें तुम्हारे कानों में उसकी आवाज चुभ रही है. द चाइल्ड जस्ट डज, एंड डज इट फुली. बट जैसे जैसे फिर बढ़ते जाते हैं, ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स कम अप, बट दैट्स नॉट द पॉइंट हियर. We'll come back to where we were. So, how do we approach it? So, the approach is just be with it. There are two parts to this, being with it. The first part is the feeling part. This is very important. This is the first part, I feel, the first step, that it needs to be felt. वो जो आ रहा है, जो भी इमोशन आ रहा है, and this shame that we are talking about, you might think that shame is a particular emotion, but you'll be amazed that it comes with a bundle of emotions: anger, bitterness, jealousy, indifference, and many other things. Like I said, that shame is a seed from which many other branches grow. We don't even realize it. So anytime any of these difficult emotions coming, somewhere you're anyways dealing with pain. So the first step is to feel it. अब फीलिंग में दिक्कत क्यों आती है, क्यों प्रॉब्लम आता है इमोशन को, स्ट्रॉन्ग इमोशन को फील करने में? क्योंकि हम उसको जज करते हैं। ये इमोशन तो गलत है, ये इमोशन तो बुरा है, ये इमोशन तो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है। Particularly, if you've grown up in a household where you were not allowed to express strong emotions. हम भूल चुके होते हैं कि we actually have the right to express emotions strongly as well. So that's the first part. And this is difficult. It is more difficult than it seems, but it is very rewarding. Because the more you feel it, the more you reduce the gap that you've created with it, and the closer you get to yourself. It's an act of self intimacy. जैसे हम अपना कोई पार्टनर, कोई गर्लफ्रेंड, बॉयफ्रेंड, कोई भी है ऐसे, या किसी के साथ हम रिलेशनशिप डेवलप कर रहे हैं, हमारा स्पाउस हो या कोई भी है, कोई दोस्त हो, भाई बहन हो, when do we really say that we're intimate with this person? When we are actually emotionally vulnerable with that person. So the same way, self vulnerable with ourselves. और इसका बेसिक फंडामेंटल पावर इसका ये है कि हम जब खुद अपने आप को फील करने से शर्म नहीं करते, तो दूसरों के सामने भी अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस करना आसान हो जाता है, राइट? सो the feeling is the first part. The second part, and this comes a little later, the first step is always feeling it. एक बार जब you feel that you have become sufficiently comfortable with feeling it, then you become a witness. Now you totally move away from the feeling and you become a witness. Now you again create a gap. But this gap now is not a gap of denial. It is not a gap कि मुझे ये feel नहीं करना है. अब तुम उसको चूम चुके हो, उसको feel कर चुके हो, उसको hug कर चुके हो, and now you're like, now I just want to see you for what you are. That brings in real objectivity. पर वो तब नहीं हो पाएगा जब तक उसको feel नहीं करोगे. वो नहीं हो पाएगा. जो लोग नहीं करते हैं ना, जो अपने लोग इमोशंस, a lot of people I see in the spiritual circles who have a lot of positive ideas about the world, and oh, everybody is so nice and this and that, but they struggle a lot with their strong emotions. तो वो फीलिंग वाले पार्ट को पूरा स्किप कर देते हैं, डिलीट डिलीट, कैंसिल कैंसिल. वो सीधा ही पहुंच जाते हैं कि हम बस विटनेस बन जाएंगे. बट दैट डजंट वर्क. It doesn't work. वो incomplete है. It's like two wings. Both are needed. Feeling and witnessing दोनों equally important हैं. उसके बिना वो जो फंसा हुआ है अंदर, इतना कुछ जो है, जो भी इमोशनल वो कचरा जो भर रखा है, मैं सुनने में बुरा लगता है कि कचरा बोल दिया, पर वो कचरा ही है क्योंकि वो आपको ब्लॉक कर रहा है. अगर वो आपके लिए कुछ अच्छा कर रहा होता तो हमें ये सब बातें ही ना करनी पड़ती. हम कुछ और मस्ती मारते. So, feeling and then being a witness to it is the way you approach it. And the release happens. In fact, release तब से ही start हो जाता है from the moment you start seeing it within you. And that's why I said it's a mini revolution. जब आप देख लेते हो कि हाँ, मेरे अंदर ये emotion है, acceptance आनी शुरू हो जाती है. It's very, very powerful. The next question, how does guilt and shame go together? Very often these two are confused, and a lot of people um, are not able to differentiate between the two. कि guilt, shame एक ही तो बात है, and it's kind of एक ही तो बात है, but there are very subtle differences. Guilt और shame के बीच में. They both come from the same place, and that place is that we don't know ourselves. हम खुद को नहीं जानते. ये दोनों निकलते वहीं से ही हैं, उसी का आउटग्रोथ है वो, पर उसका एक्सप्रेशन और उसका इम्पैक्ट अलग होता है. Shame goes a little deeper. Why? Guilt relates to हमने क्या सही या गलत किया. इट्स अ जजमेंट ऑन द डूइंग पार्ट. ठीक है, मैंने ये गलत किया, तुमने ये गलत किया, ये गलत किया. द डूइंग इज व्हाट इज बीइंग जज्ड. बट इन शेम इट डजंट से आई डिड बैड, आई डिड रॉन्ग. वो कहता है मैं गलत हूं, मैं बुरा हूं, मैं गंदी हूं. सुनने में कितना मतलब ऐसे ऐसा लग रहा है ना कि, बट हम सब अपने आप को ये बोलते हैं. वी से इट टू आवरसेल्व्स एवरी सिंगल डे, मल्टीपल टाइम्स. और हमें पता भी नहीं चलता, हम अपने आप को बोल जाते हैं ये बातें कि मैं गंदी हूँ, मैं बुरा हूँ, मैं अच्छा नहीं हूँ. छोटी छोटी बातों पे हम अपने आप को इतनी बड़ी बड़ी बातें बोल जाते हैं. सो शेम इज टू डू विद बीइंग एंड इट इज क्लोजर टू यू, बिकॉज डूइंग में फिर भी एक सेपरेशन है. आपने ये किया, लेकिन बीइंग में इट इज लाइक मैं तो यही हूँ, कुछ और है ही नहीं ना, तुम ही हो सिर्फ. सो शेम इज more inherent, it is deeper, it is closer, it is more intimate. And in a way, yes, they go together because both sort of feed each other. You do something which makes you feel guilty and it feeds your shame. And because you are ashamed of yourself, you start feeling guilty of the things that you do. So they kind of go in tango, but the way I have experienced both, shame is much deeper. In fact, last year, somewhere around this time only, I experienced shame in a very, very deep way. Nothing to do with the outside. There was no outside trigger. It was just, it's like पिछले कुछ सालों से अंदर खुदाई चल रही है, and you're just getting deeper and deeper and deeper into yourself. And I came to a point where I touched the layer of shame. उससे पहले मुझे उसका खुशबू आती थी, कभी कभी वाइब्रेशन फील होता था. बट उस दिन मैं शेम के फ्लोर पे पहुंच गई कि अरे यहाँ पे है शेम. एंड व्हाट आई सॉ वाज दैट शेम के बाद एक ही चीज थी, उसके बाद कोई और इमोशन मुझे, एंड दैट वाज डेथ. एंड दैट वाज द डे आई रियलाइज दैट what really drives people towards suicide is a very, very deep sense of shame. I saw those thoughts of suicide inside me. I've never felt suicidal, but it is so deeply inside me. You feel suicide when you have touched the very core of your shame. And if you are not in a place where you can handle it, or you've not been taught how to feel it, suicide seems to be the only option, because वो shame इतना overpowering है, इतना self consuming है कि कोई चारा नजर नहीं आता. Shame is very, very deep. Even if you Google this, there's this thing called how every emotion has a frequency. And there are these lots of charts available by different people who've done different researches on the frequencies of emotions. तो उस चार्ट में आप देखोगे ये एंगर वगैरह तो बहुत ही ऊपर रह जाते हैं, सबसे नीचे जाके आता है शेम. एंड I actually like had this idea when I felt shame last year. It was around this time only, I think June, July. I literally took like went through it for a month, feeling it, and like it was quite difficult. But I got curious and I Googled. This is the first time I looked for this kind of a chart. I knew this stuff existed, but I never really paid attention. And I was like, aha, shame is right at the bottom. वो मैंने खुद में देख लिया था कि इससे नीचे और कुछ नहीं बचा था. इसके अगर उसके भी बियॉन्ड मैं अपने इमोशन से दूर भागती तो मुझे सिर्फ एक ही चारा नजर आता कि बस ये जिंदगी खत्म कर दो. And that reminds me of a question that somebody asked, that when I sat down with shame and while they were doing their exploration, I felt it in my root chakra. Root chakra, let's just say, is that people who are not familiar with chakras, फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, इसको इस तरह से समझ लो कि root chakra is that part of our consciousness which gives us the right to live, to be here, कि हाँ मैं हूँ यहाँ पे और मेरा हक है यहाँ पे होने का. It is like I'm here, you know, you're firm and you're stable and you're grounded. When due to whatever ideas, experiences or whatever, you feel that you don't belong here, or you cannot be here, or you don't deserve to be here, that is the root chakra. And that is why shame का जो root है वो root में ही है. So the root chakra is close to your tailbone. It's like अगर आप चौंकड़ी मार के भी बैठे हो तो जो the portion of your body which is actually sitting on the bed and touching the bed or the floor or the chair you're on, that is where the root is. So now you understand why it's called the root. It's the very foundation of your energy system. और वहां पे आके shame उसको block करता है. I also talked about it blocking your core, right? And that's another part. But actually में उसकी जो जड़ें होती हैं वो root में ही होती हैं. And that is also because root chakra stores our childhood experiences, and childhood experiences से ही start होता है shame. Shame essentially क्या है? And actually में ये useful चीज भी हो सकती है, and I'll come to that, but we'll move on to the questions. Is shame a natural feeling or is it a culturally induced feeling? Extremely important question. Did God create us to feel ashamed of any act or deed or ourselves? I think for me, like this question sort of forms the crux, and इस question को सुनने में ही बहुत सारे answers आपको मिल जाएंगे. And I'll repeat the question because this is a very important question. Is shame a natural feeling or is it a culturally induced feeling? Did God create us to feel ashamed of any act or deed or ourselves? It's important that this person has used the word natural feeling. तो एक unnatural part भी होता है हमारे अंदर. वो कौन सा part होता है? That is the civilized part of us. You know? So हम तो पहले नंगे घूमते थे ना. फिर हम civilized बन गए. अपने आप पे से ढकना रखना शुरू कर दिया. पहले तो हमारी बॉडी स्ट्रांग थी. पहले तो हमें इतनी गर्मी लगती ही नहीं थी कि हमें कपड़े पहनने पड़े. अब हम कपड़े पहनते हैं डिस्पाइट बीइंग इन हॉट वेदर. गर्मी लग रही है फिर भी कपड़े पहन रहे हैं. और अगर कोई कपड़े नहीं पहन रहा तो हम बोल रहे अरे देखो देखो shame shame puppy shame. So shame is actually the outcome when we are not our natural selves. It's a societally created thing. It's a man-made thing. And since the person has mentioned the word natural, अगर हम natural world की तरफ देखें, have you ever seen any animal trying to cover themselves up? अरे मुझे कपड़े पहना दो. कोई पेड़ बोले अरे अरे मुझे ढक दो, मुझे शर्म आ रही है, मैं सबके सामने से नंगा खड़ा हो गया. मतलब कपड़े तो नहीं पहने पेड़ ने, लेकिन उसको तो नहीं शर्म आ रही. पूरी दुनिया में सिर्फ एक ही स्पीशीज को शर्म आती है, हमें आती है. और हम भी मतलब कभी तो ऐसे टाइम पे थे कि जब हमें भी ऐसी शर्म नहीं आती थी कि अपने आप को ढकना पड़ जाए, छुपाना पड़े अपने शरीर को. And there are still tribes and there are still groups of people across the world who live like that. There are so many tribes where women don't cover their breasts. A lot of people, you know, turn their noses up like, oof, uncivilized people. Yeah, they're just living naturally. So the answer to that question is shame a natural feeling? No, absolutely not. It is completely a culturally induced feeling. And did God create us to feel ashamed? Of course not. God is not ashamed. Why are you feeling ashamed? भगवान ने थोड़ी कभी बोला. भगवान ने हर तरह की चीजें करी है. भगवान ने अच्छी चीजें भी बनाई है एंड सो कॉल्ड बुरी चीजें बनाई है, लेकिन भगवान ने तो नहीं शर्म करी ना, अरे मैंने ये क्या बना दिया, कि नहीं नहीं मुझे तो सिर्फ अच्छा अच्छा बनाना है और मैं तो भगवान हूँ लेकिन मैं बुरा बुरा नहीं बना सकती. ऐसा तो कुछ भी नहीं है. तो जब भगवान ने शर्म नहीं करी कभी, तो हम क्यों करने लगे? एंड दैट ब्रिंग्स मी टू अनदर discovery that I made in the whole process of that shame exploration that I did for myself last year. And I realized that this shame that I was carrying was actually separating me from life, from God, from universe. You separate yourself and you create all sorts of ideas around it. And I was only able to let go of that shame when I let God see me for who I am. I was like, आपसे क्या छुपाना देख लो ऐसे ही हूँ मैं तो क्या कर सकते हैं कहाँ कहाँ तक छुपोगे कब तक छुपोगे दुनिया से छुप जाओगे अपने आप से भी छुप जाओगे बट भगवान से तो नहीं छुप जा सकते ना वो कैमरा तो हर जगह लगा हुआ है देयर इज नो एस्केप सो व्हेन आई रियलाइज दैट अरे this Bhagwan, whatever it is, life, existence, universe, it's been watching me every single moment since I've been born, or perhaps even before that. And yet it has never held anything against me. It has never made any judgment. It has always welcomed me. It has always loved me. It has always given me what I wanted. It has always been there for me. It has never really asked for me to do anything. So then I'm like, huh, okay. तो मतलब इतनी भी कोई बात है नहीं and that became the point of a very very core acceptance that happened for me. It is the sense of shame which separates you from life. एक ऐसे gap create हो जाता है and in that gap a whole lot of we हम उसमें और बहुत सारी चीजें भर देते हैं उस gap में और दूर करते रहते हैं एक दूसरे से. Next question. I feel like a lot of times I agreed to do things just to please some people, and it actually came from a place of shame. Yes. क्योंकि जब छोटे होते हैं हम सीख जाते हैं कि वो चीजें करो जो बड़ों को अच्छी लगती हैं और वो चीजें मत करो जो बड़ों को नहीं अच्छी लगती हैं. इट्स सो नॉर्मल. बच्चा कुछ भी करता है वेरी गुड गुड बॉय गुड गर्ल गंदा बच्चा गलत बात. we listen to it from a age so young जब हमें होश भी नहीं होती है कि हम ये चीजें सुन रहे हैं और उनका मतलब भी क्या है. We don't even know the meaning of these words and yet we receive it because the words are also accompanied with a energy and emotion, and it is those energies and those emotions that we take in and we are like, oh, I did this and this is what came in response to that. वहीं से बनना शुरू हो जाता है ये पूरा आइडिया. And that is where people pleasing actually begins from. And when we are not able to please people, हम अच्छे मार्क्स जब नहीं लेके आते थे तो कितना मुश्किल लगता था पेरेंट्स को बताना. शर्म आती थी बताने में. हैं फेल हो गया तू. इमीडिएट शेम, इंस्टेंट शेम. तू ये नहीं कर पाई. इतना सिखाया था तुझे, इतना पढ़ाया था, ये करके आया. Instant shame. I wonder how shame could have been the underlying feeling for so many other feelings and I wasn't even aware. So remember that seed that I was talking about. How do I bring that awareness but also have compassion and love for my own self? I'm going to tie this last question with another question. We'll come to that. There's another question. Why am I ashamed about my family problems and how do I deal with it? बचपन से ही होता है ना ये कि घर में जो होता है बेटा बाहर नहीं बताना. पापा रोज मम्मी को मारते हैं, किसी को नहीं बताना. या मम्मी रोज पापा को मारती हैं, ये किसी को नहीं बताना. पापा रोज दारू पीते हैं, बेटा किसी को नहीं बताना. हमारे घर में पैसे खत्म हो गए हैं, ये किसी को मत बताना. द फैमिली सीक्रेट्स. Till date, I have not been able to understand. Like I still like when my mom has this habit, कि बताना मत किसी को. And I'm like, पर क्यों? क्या हो क्या जाएगा? Right? So this question that why am I ashamed about my family problems? The answer to this is very simple. Because you have attached your identity to your family. The things that we attach to, that this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. जो भी आप चीजें अपने साथ जोड़ लेते हो अपनी आइडेंटिटी कि ये मैं हूँ, उन चीजों से रिलेटेड कोई भी अगर गलत चीज होगी तो आपको लगेगा कि आपके साथ गलत हो गया. So for example, since today is Independence Day and there's this whole environment of nationalism right now in the air. हम Indians हैं, ये हमारा देश है, and we are so proud to be Indian. And if tomorrow somebody somewhere in the world says something about India, we'll be like, oh my God, we hate you, and how dare you say this to us? We literally react like this person has said it to me. I have attached my identity to being an Indian. So I'm not able to have objectivity because attachment में objectivity नहीं हो पाती ना, witnessing नहीं हो पाती है. Attachment में आप चिपक गए, आप अंधे हो गए उसमें. So the reason you feel ashamed of your family scenes, whatever they might be, is simply because you are attached to your family as a sense of your identity. कि family अगर हट गई तो मैं कौन हूँ मुझे तो पता ही नहीं है. फैमिली के बिना मेरी आइडेंटिटी मुझे पता ही नहीं है और मुझे सोच के भी डर लग रहा है कि फैमिली के बिना मेरी आइडेंटिटी क्या हो सकती है. And so you hold on to the family, and everything attached to the family becomes literally a part of you. And so it becomes a source of shame. Then there's a question. I used to experience a lot of shame, and at one point it vanished. And I don't feel ashamed about anything now. Is it that I'm okay with things around me, or did I suppress it? Um, if you don't feel angry, suppressed, bitter, कोई स्ट्रॉन्ग इमोशंस नहीं फील होते, कोई ऐसी इमोशनल सिचुएशन नहीं होती जहाँ पे यू फील दैट यू हैव टू रिएक्ट और यू एंड अप रिएक्टिंग, तो फिर तो शायद वो शेम चला गया है. इफ योर फादर सेज समथिंग टू यू, योर मदर सेज समथिंग टू यू, एंड इट डजंट क्रिएट एन इमोशनल रिस्पॉन्स इन यू, एंड ऐसे मदर एंड फादर बिकॉज वहीं से स्टार्ट हुआ है सब कुछ. तो अगर उसमें एक इमोशनल रिएक्शन नहीं आ रहा अंदर से जो आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है, यू नो लाइक नी जर्क रिएक्शन, वो एक इमोशन फट रहा है बाहर, if that is not happening, then yes, perhaps the shame is actually gone. But if you still find it lingering, that if your mother asks you a question about, अच्छा बेटा कितना कमा रहे हो, या बेटी तेरा तेरा घर वाला तुझे ठीक रखता है कि नहीं, you know, whatever those questions might be, and they make you feel in a certain way which is not very happy and not very confident or not very secure, then yes, that shame is still there. And perhaps what has happened is that you have actually distanced yourself from that emotion more. And that's perhaps why you don't feel it. So it's up to you. You'll have to figure this out. I wouldn't know. आपको खुद देखना पड़ेगा ये. Then there's a question, how is shame good and how it's bad? Very interesting question for me because somebody actually talked about shame being good, and that's something which I'm going to end with. This person says, I did something that I feel I shouldn't have done. That's shameful for me. मैंने कुछ ऐसा किया जो मुझे लगता है मुझे नहीं करना चाहिए था, तो अब मुझे शर्म महसूस हो रही है. But I did it because momentarily I thought it was the right thing. But my conscience says now that I should not have done that. So is it shame? I don't think this would really get categorized as shame unless the idea that you shouldn't have done it is actually an idea from outside. There's a thing called self reflection and self awareness. If in a certain moment you have done something and later you're able to actually look back on it and realize that perhaps I could have done something different, that's not shame, that's actually self awareness. And that's actually what growing up is all about. That, oh yeah, I could have actually handled that situation differently, I could have done something else. And yeah, I'm going to make it a point that next time this happens I will have a different reaction, right? But अगर ये मुझे ये नहीं करना चाहिए था is not coming from your own understanding but from an outside idea of what is right and what is wrong, या तुम्हें ऐसा होना चाहिए या वैसा होना चाहिए था. You know, maybe perhaps in that situation you're playing a role and people have a certain idea about that role, that this is what people in this role should do. Suppose I am a daughter, or as a daughter I've done something and later I feel like अरे मुझे ये नहीं करना चाहिए था, मुझे ये नहीं करना चाहिए था, ये इस जगह से आ रहा है कि एक्चुअली में योर ओन as an individual you feel that you could have done something else and it doesn't really match with the kind of person you want to be. If it's that, then it's a point of awareness. But अगर वो आइडिया इसलिए आ रहा है क्योंकि कहीं अंदर ये आइडिया घुसा हुआ है कि daughters have to behave like this, पर मैंने तो ऐसे behave कर दिया तो मुझे ये करना नहीं चाहिए था, then that is coming from shame. And shame particularly has a stronger grip on women, and that is why if you will look at your parents also, while you will obviously see your fathers struggling with shame, but उसका दायरा फिर भी छोटा होगा. औरतों का शर्म का दायरा काफी बड़ा हो चुका है बिकॉज काफी ज्यादा आइडियाज दे दिए गए हैं एंड too many ideas have been fed to what women have to be, not do, be. Men's shame is more of capability. तू ये कर पाया या नहीं कर पाया. It's a little different from guilt, but as a man, you're judged for what you're able to do, what you're capable of. But a woman is judged more on what she is, who she is, how she's being, right? And so it's shame is a deeper problem for women, and that's why you will see it when you will see your parents. You will see that your mother actually struggles more with shame than your father. And good shame, huh? And this is where I'm going to end the questions with. I'm going to take like 5 minutes extra than what I intended. 8:30 I intended to close the question and answer, but I think this is very important, and also this will tie us to the theme of the next picnic, so it's important. और प्लस पहला दिन था, पहले 10-15 मिनट तो कैचअप ही करना था ना. So can shame actually be good? uh, so now since I'm also a participant of the picnic, I also did all those, I exercised those two tools which I had shared with all of you, okay, using art to express shame and having a conversation with shame. And this realization actually came from that, so it was very beautiful for me also, and it was a very enriching experience for me, for which I'm thankful to all of you कि आप लोगों ने पिकनिक को वापस बुलाया और मुझे ये realization का मौका मिला. And what I realized was that every time I feel shame, it is simply a reminder कि मैं कुछ तो ऐसा हो रहा है मेरे अंदर जो actually में मेरा नहीं है. Somewhere I am disconnected from myself. So the moment you feel shame, you are actually reminded of your inner potential. You're actually reminded somewhere that, hey, you're probably not doing what you actually want to do. You're probably not being what you actually want to be or who you actually are. So instead of shame being a point of pain or something that you want to run away from, shame can actually become an ally, a reminder, a friend who is there to remind you कि hey boss, थोड़ा अपने आप में आ जाओ. And that very shame which makes you feel so powerless, which makes you do things like procrastination, avoiding confrontations. This is something that somebody had shared in through their journal entries. And all these things that shame makes you do, वो बदलने लग जाएगा. It will give you these points of awareness. Every time I feel shame, now it's like, it means there is something inside me which is not connected with myself. And then वो point of shame से point of power बन जाएगा. It helps you get back into your power. It helps you remember that you have power. You are powerful in that moment of recognition. It's a little unexpected when I was like drawing and scribbling and doing things. When it came up, I'm like, oh. I could see that resistance because we look at shame like a bad thing, like isko hatao, isko heal karo, flana karo, dhimkana karo. But I realized that I can actually use shame to my advantage. It can actually become a point of awareness, and it can become my ally in actually recognizing and reclaiming my personal power. And that, my friends, is the theme for the next picnic. The exploration for the next picnic is going to be around power, what is power, and everything else. And from the looks of it, it looks like the bi-monthly format which has now come up for the picnic, कि महीने में 2 बार होगा, full moon और new moon पे होगा. I have a feeling that we're going to work with themes which are in pairs. कुछ तो उनका आपस में भी रिश्ता होगा. When I was, sort of reflecting on what is going to be the topic for the first picnic, these two words were coming to me एक साथ, shame and power. And I was trying to separate it. कि अरे अरे इसका क्या ताल्लुक है, इसको हटाओ हटाओ, ये अलग है ये अलग है. But eventually, after days of resistance, I realized that it actually had to come together like a pair because they both talk to each other. And all the stuff that we sort of talked about today will help us understand power in a better way. And we'll obviously like do things around power as well. But for now, I need to stop. We are past the mark for the बातचीत वाला time. There was also one more question. Is it okay if I take two more questions very, very quickly? I don't want to leave any question unattended. Is that okay? If anybody has like, if they're pressed for time, you can let me know. I will not take. वो actually 10 minute extra लग गया ना बातचीत में शुरू में. So थोड़ा सा ऐसा हो गया. Somebody has messaged something. Okay, cool. So there were two more questions. One question is, can we carry shame within us if we truly love ourselves? Can self love and shame coexist? Huh, they can coexist when you're in a transition period. पुराना भी है नया भी है दोनों वो चलता है. So one day you'll wake up, you'll be like, oh, like you'll be like, ah, shame, it's okay, yeah, I see you, I feel you, it's all right, it's all right. And probably by afternoon you'll be like, oh my god, like you'll be like in a different state altogether, and you just want to run away from that shame. So this coexistence actually runs for a very long time. वो transition period काफी लंबा होता है, and वो बहुत देर तक coexist करते हैं दोनों. But eventually, like if you actually keep your self love game up, तो eventually shame जो है वो पिघल जाता है. And eventually, if you actually really love yourself, shame possible ही नहीं है. हम अपने आप को प्यार कब नहीं करते? जब हम किसी बाहर के आइडिया को लेते हैं और अपने ऊपर चिपकाते हैं और उसके बेसिस पे अपने आप को समझते हैं. जब वो सारे चिपकाए हुए आइडियाज हम हटा देते हैं, सब कुछ हटा देते हैं, जो बचता है ऑटोमेटिकली प्यार आता है. मतलब ऐसे एफर्ट नहीं मारना पड़ता है, बिकॉज इट इज नेचुरल, इट इज एफर्टलेस, इट इज नेचुरल टू लव योर सेल्फ. इट इज नेचुरल, देयर इज नथिंग लाइक, इट इज लाइक ऐसा ही होता है. वो ऐसा ही इसलिए नहीं हो पाता बिकॉज उसके ऊपर बहुत कुछ चिपका रखा है. तो जब वो हम हटाते रहते हैं, वी स्टार्ट फीलिंग एंड एक्सपीरियंसिंग सेल्फ लव मोर एंड मोर. ऑटोमेटिक होता है, करना नहीं पड़ता कि अरे खुद. बट जब तक वो ट्रांजिशन है, जब तक हम सीख रहे हैं, बिकॉज कभी किया नहीं तो पता भी नहीं है व्हाट इट फील्स लाइक. वी डू ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स इन द नेम ऑफ सेल्फ लव आल्सो, एंड दैट इज आल्सो ओके बिकॉज दिस इज व्हाट लाइफ रियली इज ऑल अबाउट, एक्सप्लोरिंग एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग. बट हाँ, अगर कोई भी चीज अपने आप को पूरी तरह एक्सेप्ट करती है और प्यार करती है, विच इज एक्चुअली all of the natural world. If you look at animals and plants and crystals and stones and water and mountains, वो दिमाग नहीं खराब करते अपना. तो वो नेचुरली सेल्फ लव में जी रहे हैं, एंड इसलिए हमें नेचर में जाके इतना अच्छा लगता है, क्योंकि वो इतना अपने आप से इतना प्यार करते हैं, तो हमें भी अपने आप को फिर प्यार करने का मन करता है. दैट इज रियली व्हाट नेचर डज टू अस. सो या, खुद को प्यार एक बार पूरी तरह कर लिया तो शेम खत्म. And there's one more question. Where is it? Mm, I remember that question, but I think I've forgotten to collate it here. Ha, here it is. I was the cause for someone experiencing shame. What can I do to change things or make the situation better? So basically, you caused somebody else to feel shame. There are two things here which I want to quickly touch upon. पहली बात तो nobody can make you feel anything without your permission. This whole idea तुमने मुझे ये feel करा दिया, तुमने मुझे वो feel करा दिया, ये झूठ है, बोगस है ये. This is nonsense. तुमने मुझे गुस्सा दिला दिया. अरे गुस्सा तो ऑलरेडी था, उन्होंने निकाल दिया बाहर. तुमने मुझे हर्ट कर दिया, तुम तो पहले से ही दुखी थे, पहले से ही हर्ट थे, उन्होंने बस वो चोट को फिर से कर दिया. अगर तुम्हारी चोट नहीं होती तो वो ऐसे ही निकल जाता, तुम्हें पता भी नहीं चलता उस इंसान ने क्या किया. So first you need to get out of this whole idea that you caused somebody to feel shame. That person probably is already carrying shame. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you don't take responsibility for whatever actions or words you might have, done. And for that, what you can do is obviously you bring in some sort of an awareness that why did I even do this? What inside me made me do this, right? And the second thing is forgiveness. माफ कर दो, जाने दो, मुझे नहीं पता था, मेरे को तो मैंने सीखा नहीं था. हम छोटे बच्चे को माफ कर देते हैं ना, अरे इसे पता नहीं है यार, अरे अरे बच्चा है, माफ कर दो, है ना. तो हम अभी भी, हम चाहे जितने मर्जी एज के हो गए हो, हम देर आर ऑलवेज सर्टन थिंग्स इनसाइड इट जो बच्चों की तरह ही होती है, वो अभी बड़े नहीं हुई होती. तो अपने आप को बच्चा समझ के माफ कर दो और बोलो कि हाँ, अगली बार मैं ज्यादा ध्यान रखूंगा, अगली बार मैं ये नहीं करूंगी, कोशिश करूंगी कि कुछ और करूं, कुछ अलग करूं. बस इतना ही है, ज्यादा टेंशन नहीं लेने का, प्यार से. एंड yep, I think we are done. Yeah. Also very, very nice questions, by the way. Very, like, it literally covered a lot of the things which I would have anyways talked about. It's a very, very big topic. And my eventual vision for the picnic is really to have it like सब आ जाओ मस्ती में, आराम से बात करेंगे, खूब सारे शेयरिंग करेंगे, खाएंगे, पिएंगे, chill करेंगे. I want to have it in a physical format rather than an online format. These are just जैसे मूवी का ट्रेलर होता है ना, वैसा होता है ये पिकनिक, ये 1.5 घंटे का. आई वुड रियली लाइक मोर टाइम because I would love to have people share and speak and respond. पर टाइम नहीं है लोगों के पास, ये 1.5 घंटा निकालने में भी लोगों की वाट लग जाती है. अरे बहुत बिजी है हम, है ना. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the guided meditation, for which I think people who've been in the picnic before सोच रहे होंगे कि इस बार कोई म्यूजिक नहीं शेयर हुआ. वो कुछ ना कुछ तो पीछे बज रहा होता है ना कि हाँ, म्यूजिक तो इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट है मेडिटेशन का. म्यूजिक के बिना हम मेडिटेशन नहीं करते हैं, क्योंकि अभी हम बच्चे हैं, हमें म्यूजिक चाहिए, वो हमें हेल्प करता है. बट म्यूजिक भी शेयर नहीं किया तो कैसे होने वाला है. सो इफ यू कैन सी दिस मैन देयर विद द बियर्ड, he's called the Solar Man. He has I'm truly grateful that he has agreed and he's offered to play live music for us for the meditation today. He'll be on an electric guitar, and I was so thrilled because मैंने इतने मजे लिए हैं इसके म्यूजिक के, and I'm so glad that I'll be able to bring it to all of you live, and we'll both be taking it together while he plays the guitar and my voice will be guiding you. Um, so we will. Obviously, this has called in for a much more elaborate setup than just these earphones that I'm wearing. There's a setup we've done in another room. That's his music room. Where stuff is like plugged in, and there's a much better mic there, which is very sensitive and all that. So I'm gonna take a 3-minute break, 3 to 4 minutes break, because we need a little time to set it up there, get everything in place. Everybody can meanwhile take that time to go to the washroom, drink some water, get comfortable. Also, I feel like for today's guided meditation, we probably will be required to lie down instead of doing it sitting up. So get yourselves into a space. मुझे भी तभी पता चलेगा जब होगा, मुझे नहीं पता. But for now, let's just create space for that possibility कि अगर लेटना हो तो हम comfortably लेट सकें जहाँ पे भी हम हैं. So we'll take 3 to 4 minutes and I'll see you. Also, any questions, any concerns you have, you can put it in the chat box and I'll take it from there. I'm going to move to another room and I'll probably take it from there. Yeah.
Hi everyone and welcome back. While you won't be able to see me anymore, we both are now connected through Aman's account. What I what we both want you to let us know, he'll play some music and I'll speak on top of it. Let us know if my voice is clearly audible over the music while we, play. And then when we are ready, we are good to go. So we'll just do a little sample first. Slowly, we begin to close our eyes and take 3 deep breaths. With each breath, you feel your body relaxing. Okay, guys, is that okay? The level of the sound of the guitar? Yeah, just put it in the chat. Please don't unmute yourselves. We just need to know if the sound levels are good to go.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. There's no response.
Yes, again.
Okay, okay, I'm not able to see it.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll now begin with the meditations. You can switch off your camera. Keep yourselves on mute, very important. And yeah, see you on the other side. We can lie down now. And begin to make ourselves comfortable in our body. What a wonderful thing to be comfortable in our body. Once you lie down and are comfortable in the posture, preferably on your back, slowly begin to bring your attention to your breath. Watch the breath going in and going out, going in and out. Take a few deep breaths. As you inhale, feel your stomach rising a little. And then feel the stomach rising down as the breath goes out. Deep, slow breath. Now, as you inhale and your stomach rises, hold your breath there for a few seconds. And then let it go. Let's do that again. Inhale deeply. Hold it for a few seconds. And then let it go. At this point, become aware of the relaxation that your body has experienced since you first began. And continue to hold the awareness of how the breath, with each breath that you take, it continues to make you more and more relaxed. Deeper and deeper into your body. It's almost like you're melting away. Bring your awareness to any tensed parts inside your body. The feet, the thighs, hips, stomach, the chest, shoulders. Simply, gently bring your attention, your awareness, this soft awareness. And just by bringing that awareness to the tensed part, observe how that tension begins to melt. If you feel the need to adjust your body at this point to become a little more comfortable, please do so. Relax your shoulders, your hands, continuing to breathe deeply into your stomach. Relax your neck. Let your jaw relax. Let your eyes relax. Let the forehead become loose. And finally, feel the relaxation flow to the top of your head. And with that, now you're completely relaxed. Feels so good. Stay with this awareness. Be with your body. No matter how it is, no matter how it feels, just be. At this point, bring your awareness into the center of your chest. This is your heart center. It might feel tight, difficult, small, however it might be. Just become aware of your heart center. This is the gateway to your soul. As you feel yourself in the heart center, you can feel something there. It could be a light, a sensation, a feeling, or something else. But it's there. And you know that it's there. You know you can sense it. You can feel it. It is right here. As you become aware of this, watch it, feel it, slowly expand and fill the rest of your body. Feel it filling your body. As it fills your body, you now feel it expanding beyond your body, filling up the space around you. But the center remains in your heart. It expands and fills up the room that you're in. It now fills up your entire home, gently, lovingly expanding. Continuing to expand, it now starts filling up your local neighborhood, the area around your house. It is now expanding to cover the entire city or town that you're in. It is vast, but it is centered in your heart. And it is expanding more, more, and more. It is now expanding to fill the entire region of where you live. From your region, it is now expanding to fill your whole country and the countries around it. It continues to expand with joy, with love, with abundance. And it now starts filling up the entire continent. So many countries, so much ocean. It's filling up everywhere. And before you even know it, it has filled the entire planet. And yet, the center remains in your heart. You see it now expanding and covering the other planets around Earth. More. It is so vast. And it fills the entire solar system. It goes beyond the solar system. And it is now filling up the entire galaxy. Feel the vastness of your being as it now fills up the other galaxies beyond the galaxy that you live in. Filling up wherever it wants to go, as far as it can go. And soon, it is everywhere. Now we begin to come back to ourselves, back from the infinite universe, the multiple galaxies, our own galaxy, back into our solar system, back onto our planet, back onto our continent, our city, back into our local neighborhood, back into our home, into this room, and back into our heart. And you see it becoming smaller, smaller. You can feel it condensing, contracting, compressing, smaller, smaller. Until it is almost like a little dot. Stay with it. Be with yourself. Slowly begin to move your hands, to move your feet a little. Slowly begin to bring your awareness back into your body. Gently move the body a little. Gently. There's no rush. And whenever you feel ready, slowly begin to open your eyes back to here and now. Whenever you feel ready, you can switch on your cameras. It would be nice to see you after the meditation.
And it's okay if you don't feel like switching on the cameras. And if you just feel like being with yourself for a while, the picnic is now over. Those who wish to leave can leave. Those who wish to stay behind or have some more questions or just want to hang around, we have time for that as well. But yes, if you wish to leave, you can now leave. Thank you so much for being here, for making this what it is. You make it possible. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your love, for your patience, acceptance. Thank you so much. You make it possible. If you wish to say anything, you can also put it in the chat box. But if you just wish to leave, you can leave. I'm done. Yeah. If people wish to talk, they can unmute themselves and share if they want to share or ask any questions. मुझे तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि लोग सो गए.
Hi, Himnet.
Hi, wait, let me see. Hi, Aditi. How are you?
I'm good. It's so nice, to experience your spiritual picnic. And I've been waiting for this since last year. And, I just wanted to share that every first picnic I attend, I get so emotional. And today I experienced the same thing because initially when you were talking, and I don't know, the moment you start talking and your voice itself makes me feel so soft inside. And uh, at the end of the session, I just felt like crying. I don't know why. It happens to me every time. Sometimes when the meditation gets too intense, it's very difficult for me to process the emotions, and
Yes,
I get very overwhelmed. And thank you so much.
it is all grace. It is all grace. Um, I have always cherished Aditi's presence. There's this very beautiful practice that she used to have last year. After every picnic, she would, send me an email separately just to express gratitude and love. And sometimes, just randomly, out of nowhere, she would just email me. There was no agenda, there's nothing at all. And she would just um, email me expressing love and gratitude. And that is just so precious. It's something I learned from so much, and it's just beautiful. And yes, it can be quite overwhelming because we're not used to being with ourselves, and it's difficult also because we've not done it in such a long time. But eventually, once that difficult part is over, we realize that somewhere we feel much better, and that much better in so many ways. So yeah, I think Aditi has spoken for a lot of people, and I've also seen, and I can feel, even though nobody has said this, but I know that certain people actually, either avoid coming to the picnic because they feel that they can't handle their emotions. And I've seen people who are not ready to sort of actually be with themselves. They um, they are not able to attend the picnic. When you're not ready for something, it doesn't happen. So I'm always so grateful for the people who actually end up coming here. It's a small group, and I'm very, very grateful for it. It's so precious and it's so sweet. मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है that there's just a small group, and the energy which everybody creates is so beautiful. It might feel like that I have a bigger role to play here, but it really isn't the case. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if you wouldn't be on the other side. So it's not really me who does these picnics, it's all of you who come together and create it. It's a co creation which happens. And I'm lucky that I get to be part of it every single time. That's about it. Deepak Jyot says, thanks for this session and a very cute penguin. I am glad to see you here, Deepak Jyot, and I hope you enjoyed the whole time because it's a lot of valuable time that you took out for this session, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Jaydeep says the mystical and Solomon combo is heart, heart, heart. Yes, I agree. When we first did, we didn't actually do any practice as such in terms of, like going through the whole thing. We just like sat for like 4 5 minutes and we were like, हाँ ठीक है, हम ये कर लेंगे. We didn't. He didn't know what I was going to say. He didn't know what was the format going to be like. I didn't know what he was going to play or whatever. We just know that we'll flow together, and that's why this picnic is extra special for me. The new format is really interesting. I'm so glad that you find it interesting, which is also, I feel, is another way of saying that you kind of like it, or at least I hope that's what it means. The heart at the end. Yeah, I think the new format is actually very interesting because whatever I would be able to share earlier was ultimately confined to whatever I could sort of explore or see, and there's a limit to how much an individual can see and bring to the table. But with questions coming in from so many other people, it it makes my mind also bend in new ways. It makes me see new perspectives. Like I shared earlier, that just in the process of doing my own exploration for the shame, I discovered how shame is actually can become a friend and it can become a source of power. And I actually applied it, and I'll tell you how it actually worked. So the last season, every time I sat down for the picnic, I used to be nervous. I used to sit down at least 5 minutes before the picnic, like in terms of like when I had to start speaking, and just sort of do a lot of deep breathing. I could feel those butterflies in my stomach. I would be like tensed about it, and I'd be like, सब कुछ ठीक से करूँगी कि नहीं, सब कुछ ठीक से होगा कि नहीं, and all those typical ideas and thoughts that we have. But today there was nothing. I literally took like 10 seconds to just center in myself. I was here and I'm like, yeah, let's begin. There was no butterflies and there was nothing. And I really feel that happened after that exploration of the shame happened. And I realized that how shame is a point of power. And for that, I'm grateful because I wouldn't have been able to experience it had this picnic not been happening. And yeah, I'm very excited for this new format. I feel much lighter. I feel my involvement in the picnic has considerably reduced in terms of effort. And it also makes you realize, that this whole idea, whatever ideas I had earlier that I am doing the picnic, yeah, I am conducting the picnic, or मैं कर रही हूँ, those ideas have now fallen by the wayside, and that automatically lifts all tensions. There is no concerns anymore, there is no anxiety, there is no nothing कि कैसे होगा. मुझे बस पता है कि होगा. And that's really the only contribution I think I make. I just trust and have faith, और बाकी सब कुछ बस होता जाता है. Sameer is asking something. I'm not. Acha, senior.
Hi,
Okay.
Himnet.
Yeah, Deva,
Hi.
I'm just gonna take your question. I was just starting with Sameer's question. Just a second. Sameer says, so grateful to be here, feeling light after hearing your answers for such tickly questions, going to introspect and work on stuff. Yes, that's the whole point. I hope it, again, it's like opening up your perspectives, opening up your consciousness, and seeing the same things in a new way. If that is, if that is what this picnic makes possible, I think that's all the work done. इससे ज़्यादा कुछ चाहिए भी नहीं. So I'm really grateful. Sameer was the last minute entry. Sameer, अगली बार से please time पे करना. Last minute पे मत बोलो कि email नहीं आया, link कहाँ पे है. Be a little more proactive. It's useful for me because it's difficult for me. See, there's no team that I have. I'm just handling everything myself. I have Solomon with me, but that's not his work, right? This work is mine. So if you come in at the last moment, it's difficult for me to just sort of like, there's a whole lot of preparation that still has to happen from my end. There's an entire, space that I create at my end, physically in my space for this to happen. Otherwise, this won't be possible. So I need time for that. I need to get into the zone. So yeah, I would appreciate people being more proactive. But I'm so glad you made it. Very, very glad because Sameer is actually one of the reasons why Mystical left Instagram. Aditi says the music was so good. Yes, thank you, Solomon. Yes, his music is amazing, isn't it? It takes you so deep inside. It was so simple, right? And he was just playing the same stuff over and over. There's nothing fancy happening, but like it just takes you inside. It just takes you somewhere where you possibly would have struggled otherwise to go with. Music becomes that aid. It's like a wave on which you can ride and get inside yourself into places that you otherwise would have struggled to get inside. It's like a chabi. ताले खोल देता है और सोलोमन का म्यूजिक तो डेफिनेटली खोल देता है. Aman, how was your experience? Would you like to share anything? Because usually in all the previous picnics, he would be also, one of the people participating and being part of the guided session. But this time, and I was like, hey, you'll be missing out on that part if you're playing the guitar. And he was like, कोई बात नहीं. I'm sure मुझे जो मिलना होगा वो मिल ही जाएगा. So I just was curious that if it actually happened.
Yeah, very interesting. I've not done this, like doing some kind of meditation and playing music, and that too music for the meditation. Very interesting. But uh, yeah, it was a bit of a like, sometimes I used to feel like, okay, music baja raha hu, yeah, meditation. But after a while, I was just like going with it, and I could feel all the expansions and then the coming back. I was, I could be with it throughout, especially because I had your voice in my headphones so clearly. Can't, you're not audible.
Yeah, we both had the best sound quality. Like I could hear like अगर मैं हाथ भी ऐसे हिलाती हूँ, so that mic that on which I speak is extremely sensitive. You'll be shocked how sensitive that mic is. This guy sources stuff from I don't know where all in the world.
Jaideep got it.
Jaideep
He's
actually,
all
yeah, Jaideep actually
Jaideep
got
got
it.
it.
Yes, he's right here. He's one of our sources from which we get cool stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, that mic is super sensitive. Like even if I like move my hand like this and my t-shirt makes a slight sound, the mic picks that up as well.
Yeah.
So we both have to be extremely still and extremely silent so that you hear only my voice and his music. So yeah, it was
Yeah, but
amazing.
I had a great time. I really
Yeah.
liked it.
So today he actually experienced the guided meditation the way I do. Like I'm doing and I'm experiencing it sat sat mein. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm not experiencing it. Thank you so much. And this is such great fun. I'm so excited. We're gonna have live music, I think now at every picnic. Isn't that awesome? It's so much nicer to have a human, playing that music, and that human is in the same flow as you are. Wow, that's just powerful. Which is the theme for the next picnic. I don't know yet what will be the date, but it will be around the new moon, which should be, if the full moon was on the 11th, then approximately 2 weeks from that would be the new moon. So yeah, you'll receive the email, and but the topic, the theme of exploration for the next picnic is going to be power. It's a very, it's actually more complicated than what we touched upon today. And I almost did not do the picnic today because I knew it was a long weekend. I knew a lot of people would be either traveling, there's a festival, and people might not be able to join, which did happen. People messaged me saying that, hey, I won't be able to join, I'm traveling, or somebody's visiting me, and things like that. But like I said, I'm not in control anymore. The message was clear, it has to begin on this full moon, and we did. It's a very potent full moon for emotional healing. And when I saw how things were falling into place, I saw that how shame was a very apt theme for the exploration under the light of this full moon. And I haven't yet looked at the new moon energy which is coming in, still soaking up the full moon, but I'm sure the theme of power is going to be in line with that as well. So yeah, that's all from my side. If you have any questions, if there's anything more you wish to share, it could be an experience, it could be something very simple. It doesn't have to be fancy stuff or something mind blowing. अरे मुझे तो ऐसा हो गया वैसा हो गया. Um, it's just good to hear people share. Yes,
I
Deva. Yes. Sorry, I totally forgot. Sorry, please go ahead.
It's okay. First of all, I am so happy that the picnic is back. Like, really happy, jumping around happy. Thank you so much. Uh, Obviously, I did not know your part of it, so I sort of felt a little bad that there's so much going on, but I'm happy that it's a little lighter on you now, and I'm happy that it's here. So thank you very much, and I loved the music. I listened to you for the first time, uh, and I loved it. And I think this was the first time I've attended almost all the picnics, and this was the first time, Himnet, that I wasn't like I was listening to you, but I was also not listening to you. I'm not sure how to explain that. Like I knew, like
Hmm.
I was getting the gist, but I felt like I was sleeping, but I was also not sleeping.
Hmm.
Like I felt like my body, like I was sleeping a bit, but I was also flowing. Like I could listen to the music, I could
Hmm.
listen to your voice, but it wasn't as,
Hmm.
like as strong, but it was
Hmm.
there.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So
that's
it was
that's
a
kind
very
of like
different.
a state of trance.
Yeah, it was a very different experience. Usually, I follow you to the T whenever.
Yeah, because I'm misty.
So I do that, but today is like something different. But I'm really grateful to be here and super happy. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deva. You've been such an integral part of all the picnics, you and Mehul. He's here too. I was so happy. He was one of the first faces I saw, and I was like, wow, it's so awesome. Um, yeah, so you both have been such an integral part of the picnic, and you both have been, the people who have woven the threads of the picnic and who have woven the fabric, the story and the flow and everything else. I always said this earlier also, that the picnic is not by me, and everybody else is creating it. But I feel like this time I'm embodying it and living it much more deeply. And I feel this is an opportunity for everyone also to do the same, and to actually really realize the value of what happens when people come together. See, I could have just recorded this stuff and put it out there, and you could have listened to it. And I'm sure that that has its own value, of course, right? But there is something which cannot be replicated by doing it alone. And there's a lot of stuff which, becomes easier, it becomes accessible, it opens up when we are together and when we are with other people and we see other people. And that's why I insist so much on switching on the cameras. I understand, I think most people use phones, so it's a little tricky to put it somewhere and all that. But I think it's totally worth the effort to be able to see other people. I feel it's something which is missing so badly in the world today. हम ऐसे इतना नहीं. I'm so glad that I can see Jaydeep almost till his feet, but mostly हम इतना इतना ही देखते रहते हैं. अब वो जो बॉडी लैंग्वेज से कम्युनिकेशन होता है वो तो रह ही जाता है ना. Forget about the vibes and everything else, but जो बॉडी लैंग्वेज तो इतनी सारी जो बातें हम कर लेते हैं वो तो रह ही जाता है ऑनलाइन. And that is why I really wish to see the picnic getting into a physical format soon. Of course, we'll have the online as well, but physical भी हो और उसका साथ साथ में ऐसे online virtual भी साथ साथ चल रहा है.
Yes, please.
Because yeah, that'll be just amazing. And whenever you guys probably come to India next, we can try and do that. Whatever, like इतना मैं अब नहीं सोचती हूँ. मैं तो बस इच्छा जाहिर करती हूँ और जो फिर होना होता है हो जाता है. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, Deva, and thank you for sharing your experience. Always so grateful to have you. It's so beautiful. Always grateful from my heart.
Hi,
Same.
Mehnat.
Hi, Abha. How are
Hi.
you?
All good. And thank you so much for coming back. And you were right. This was actually some divine power, which just was there, because the day you announced, from that day, all those things which I had suppressed, the topics which was, मुझे परेशान कर रहे थे, या इवेंट्स जो दे वर काइंड ऑफ लाइफ चेंजिंग इवेंट्स, या दे वर काइंड ऑफ इवेंट्स जिन्होंने मेरे फीलिंग्स को सप्रेस करना मुझे फोर्स किया, या दे ऑल जस्ट केम अप and out of nowhere,
Yeah.
just nowhere. And this time it was like कि I had to give an answer. मतलब मैं इसको अब आगे नहीं दोबारा आना वापस से वो चीज़ नहीं कर पा रही थी. And yesterday also again जो चीज़ मुझे बहुत तंग कर रही थी, या जो चीज़ मुझे बहुत परेशान कर रही थी, out of nowhere ऐसे circumstances बने कि it just erupted. And for the first time in my these 8 months of marriage, I was vocal about it. That not more, I cannot be the perfect bahu, this and वो मुझे घुटन दे रहा है, मुझे परेशान कर रहा है, and मेरी हेल्थ खराब कर रहा है. आई थिंक वो पहला कॉन्वर्सेशन चाहे किसी और के साथ नहीं किया, वो पहला खुद से ही हो गया जब ये सब कुछ कहा. तो एंड देन मुझे समझ नहीं आया. एंड मॉर्निंग में जब मैं उठी तो मुझे लगा कि ओके ये इसलिए था क्योंकि कुछ और भी पावर है. तो व्हेन यू सेड कि दिस इज द गुड पार्ट ऑफ शेम, इज बिकॉज शेम ही पूरा 8 महीने से मेरा थीम चल रहा था. एंड यहाँ पे अच्छी बहू नहीं बनी, यहाँ अच्छी वाइफ नहीं बनी, ये नहीं बना, पूरा वो थीम चल रहा था. सो जब अभी कहा कि दिस इज actually good because it's reminding you again and again and again that you're not being you. So the whole meditation, I was just remembering मैं थी क्या. I was a very different person 8 months back, and I've just छोड़ दिया. मैंने खुद किसी को ब्लेम ही नहीं कर सकती, मैंने छोड़ा. और उस शेम से डर के ही छोड़ा, क्योंकि शेम की मतलब मुझे एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया जाएगा, या बड़ी मुश्किल से एक स्टेबिलिटी मिली है, वो स्टेबिलिटी से बाहर है, अंदर तो टर्मोइल है. आई हैव डेवलप्ड हाई बीपी. सो इतना मतलब This was something which I don't know. Like, my whole body is like hot right now. I'm sweating, and it was so powerful. Thank you so much, Hamna, because uh, I just can't thank you. मुझे पता है कि आज शायद वो एक वो start हुआ है to just deal with this, and just come out of this, because ये बहुत ज़्यादा I don't know. I'm not saying कि सिर्फ 8 months का है, बहुत पहले से ही वो seed डल चुका है.
Hmm.
But I think शायद वो power आया है to just recognize it and realize it कि अंदर ही है आपके. पहले मैं family को blame कर रही थी, अब मैं इधर in-laws को blame कर रही हूँ, but maybe वो
Hmm.
अंदर ही है. I
Hmm.
have to work on यहाँ से, not बाहर से ये गलत वो गलत. So thank you for that, because this is going to help me a lot I know. And बहुत से लोग, सब लोग जो यहाँ पे सबसे ज्वाइन किया है, जो बाद में भी ये वीडियो देखेंगे, I'm sure it's going to help them a lot. And thank you so much. I just can't thank you for this. It's बहुत
नहीं,
कम होगा जितना
करने
भी
की
thank
जरूरत
you.
ही नहीं है, तुमने ही किया है, मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है. It is true. मतलब like when I said that nobody can make you feel anything without your permission, हम एक दूसरे को एक्सपीरियंस करा देते हैं चीजें, ऐसा है, पर अल्टीमेटली हम ही होते हैं. मतलब अगर तुम्हारे अंदर नहीं होगा, मैं चाहे एड़ी चोटी का जोर लगा लूं, मैं कुछ भी कर लूं, you will not experience it. It's there within you, and that is why you feel it. That is why you can experience it, and that is why it is available to you. Um, this thing actually happens. I don't know if it happens to other people, or people have experienced it, but in all of my experiences with the events that I have attended for my own spiritual progression, you could say, or self-awareness journey, the moment I would sign up for it, चीजें शुरू हो जाती हैं. The process begins when there are masters at work, when there are higher forces at work. The moment you put in your commitment that, hey, I'm ready for this, okay, hey, I'm going to do this, things start happening. And that is one of the reasons why I encourage people to make up their minds early, not leave it till the last moment कि अगर convenient हुआ तो कर लेंगे. मतलब लाइक फिर आपका कमिट वो जो पूरा एक विंडो है, there's an entire thing process which you undergo from the time you say yes, I'm going to do this, and to entire behind the scenes things happening, things will come up, they will trigger you, you will feel those things around that theme more. कुछ भी होगा, कुछ ना कुछ चलेगा. वो अभी वेरी करता है कि आप कितने होश में जी रहे हो, या आप कितना ध्यान देते हो अपनी तरफ, कि आप उसको recognize कर पाओ या नहीं. But from the moment you sign up, you pay for it. By paying and by signing up, you essentially say that, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this. And the moment you extend your hand, the universe just is was anyways waiting to take it. So this happens. It has happened to me multiple times. I experience it still today every time I sign up for something. And I think that's what happened with Abha as well. And interestingly, two women, shared in their sharings that they shared. One was Abha, and there was another person. She is not married yet. She's in the process of moving towards marriage. Shadi pakki ho gayi hai. And it was interesting how I could see that so much of the pain, of shame, and the anguish that it creates was coming from either marriage or women who are married. um, it really struck me. And यही दो लोग थे जिन्होंने अपनी journals भी share किए, who shared like clippings from their journals. And I was realizing that, and then I was reminded of my own time when I got married. And I was remembering कि हाँ मेरे साथ भी ऐसी ऐसी चीजें हुई थी. It happens, right? And then while I will not get deep into this, because probably it's a topic for, maybe marriage should be a theme of exploration for one of the picnics. But what I'll quickly want to put out here is कि क्या होता है there are these, समझो कि it's like think of them as pools of consciousness, अलग अलग pools हैं, okay, and these pools are of all kinds of things, including things that we identify with. जैसे मैंने बोला था ना कि हम इंडियंस हैं, तो वो भी एक pool of consciousness है. So the moment you say I am an Indian, you become a part of that pool. वो pool जो है आपको पानी देना शुरू कर देता है, आप उस pool को पानी देना शुरू करते हैं, exchange start हो जाता है. And then ना चाहते हुए भी या चाहते हुए, मतलब फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता, कलेक्टिवली इंडियंस को जो कुछ भी फील होता है वो आपको फील होना शुरू हो जाएगा. You will start thinking like that. The more you will deeply identify with being an Indian, the more you will become like that collective consciousness. So if the Indians say that अरे हम तो अंग्रेजों से inferior हैं, तो तुम्हें भी वो feel होगा. If Indian says हमारा हमारा tradition सबसे श्रेष्ठ है, we are the best, our tradition, our culture is the most superior, you will also start speaking that language, right? So that is the that, and that applies to everything. आप कुछ भी कहीं पे भी apply कर लो. So this also happens when you get married. Marriage की consciousness, बहू होने की consciousness, मदर इन लॉ की कॉन्शियसनेस, जो भी वो सारा पूरी दुनिया में आज तक जितने भी जिंदगियां जिए गई हैं, ये भी नहीं कि आज की, टोटल टोटल कलेक्टिव ह्यूमन कॉन्शियसनेस ऑफ ऑल दैट हैज बीन एंड ऑफ ऑल दैट विल कम, all of it is together in that pool, and you start becoming a part of that pool. So what is the way out of this? Because what you're really doing is that you are taking on stuff which is not yours. आप अनकॉन्शियसली किसी चीज के साथ जुड़ रहे हो जो शायद आप ना जुड़ो अगर आप थोड़ा होश में हो. अगर आपको पता चले कि ऐसा कुछ होता है, तो would you want to be part of it? Do you want to be part of the Bahu consciousness, Abba? And Abba will be like, I'm not sure. Maybe I don't want to be part of the Bahu pool, right? But वो choice point हम लाते नहीं है, हम बस जुड़ जाते हैं चीजों के साथ. और जब वो जुड़ जाते हैं तो फिर तो और भी खतरनाक होता है, बिकॉज अब बिना जाने, बिना सोचे, बिना डिसाइड किए हम जुड़ गए उस चीज से, एंड इट इज अफेक्टिंग अस नाउ एंड वी डोंट इवन रियलाइज.
एक्चुअली हिम्मत, मुझे जैसे यू आस्क्ड मी, आई सम व्हेन आई गॉट मैरिड, मेरा हमेशा एक ये थॉट प्रोसेस चलता, ह्यूमन के साथ कैसा बिहेव करना है.
No, that's your conscious thought process.
या दैट आई डोंट नो, मतलब आई वाज लाइक कि मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं था कि बिकॉज मैं बहू हूँ तो मुझे ऐसा करना है, और मैं भाभी हूँ तो ऐसा करना है. मुझे था कि सबके साथ ही अच्छा रहना है, मतलब अच्छा
Yeah.
रहना इन द सेंस कि व्हाट आई एक्सपेक्ट आई विल गिव. दैट्स द सिंपल थिंग कि मैं लॉयल्टी एक्सपेक्ट करती हूँ तो वो बनो. मैं कुछ में जो भी है, मतलब इट इज लाइक दिस. और मुझे था कि अच्छा यार, चाहिए होगा तो बोल देंगे, मतलब कुछ बुरा लग रहा होगा तो बोल देंगे, मतलब इट वाज लाइक दिस. एंड धीरे धीरे पता नहीं कहाँ से वही, मे बी आई डोंट नो कौन, मैंने ध्यान नहीं दिया या वो प्रेशर आ गया, वो चीज़ आती गई कि ऐसा करना है क्योंकि बहू हो. और एक दो बार हो गया, ब्लो अप हो गया कि पानी नहीं पिलाया, मतलब ओनली एक ही टॉपिक छिड़ गया कि पानी नहीं पूछा. वो इतना बड़ा टॉपिक बन गया कि उसके बाद आज तक जब किसी ने घर आना भी होता है, मेरे दिमाग में टेंशन आ जाती है कि वो पानी याद रहे बस. सो मच सो कि अगर मुझे वॉशरूम जाना है तो मैं टेबल पे पानी रख जाती हूँ, टेंशन ही ना हो सके. तो एक वो ऐसा हो जाता, आई डोंट नो.
It's an automatic process. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We don't even realize. See, your conscious mind is not more than 10% of your mind. Your unconscious is a lot more. It happens in a way which is very subtle. आपको पता भी नहीं चलता है आप कब उसमें लपेटे जाते हो और बह जाते हो उसमें. So it actually requires a lot of self-awareness, self-introspection. Instead of asking that why are they behaving like this, the question is, what am I doing in this situation? And not outwardly, inwardly. कि एक्चुअल में बहुत डीपली, मतलब अगर मैं अपने आप, मैं इतनी टोटल हूँ और उसमें से मैंने अपने आप को बस इतना देखा, हाँ हाँ मैं तो बहुत अच्छे से, मैं तो सबके साथ अच्छा ही करना चाहती हूँ, पर अगर तुम और नीचे जाओगे यू विल सी सम सॉर्ट ऑफ suppression, some sort of victimization, power issues and things like that. So that plays out. Everything outside that you see is always a reflection of you, and every person who comes in your life, because they're just a reflection, it's like a projection of your own stuff inside you. वो कुछ सिखा के ही जाते हैं, बट हम वो सीखना चाहते नहीं हैं। बट एनीवे, the reason why this happens is this only: unconsciously we get attached to a certain pool of consciousness. That's the word I like to use. Pool of consciousness, because it's very emotional in nature, and it's watery, it's expansive, and हर तरह की चीजें possible हैं इसमें. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, I think Abha, you might probably find the next theme quite interesting. The theme of power. What is it? What does it even mean to be powerful? You know, काफी and particularly जो लोग बोलते हैं ना मैं तो बहुत अच्छी हूँ या मैं तो हमेशा अच्छे काम करता हूँ, उन लोगों का particularly पावर के साथ बहुत डिफिकल्ट रिलेशनशिप होता है। ऐसे मतलब इट्स अ वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड रिलेशनशिप। ऐसे 36 का आंकड़ा रहता है, नहीं 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 मुझे पावर नहीं चाहिए, नहीं नहीं, I don't want to be powerful. Power is for bad people, kind of thing, you know. So there's a lot of interesting stuff which will happen in power. It's a very um, multi-layered aspect. Like shame is still easier. Shame फिर भी आसान है. Power is a very very interesting, because we've not even, you know, like growing up being in this world, we've not even seen very good examples or useful examples of what is really power and what can it actually do. So I think I'm actually very excited for the next one and what kind of questions and exploration is going to happen. So yeah, thank you so much, Abba. I always look forward to, you know, your exploration, because Abha goes quite real. And the thing I really like about Abha's exploration, that they're so honest. They are so, like, she is willing to be honest, and that quality single-handedly is probably the most powerful thing that a person can do with themselves, to be honest with themselves. अब ये एक क्वालिटी अकेली ही आपको बहुत कुछ करवा देगी जिंदगी में, बाकी सब बाद की बातें हैं. So I always look forward to Abha's, you know, sharing and the kind of things she brings up, and it's a very objective perspective that she brings in. It's emotional and objective. So she does the feeling part and she does the witnessing part. So that's powerful, right? So thank you so much for that, Abha. I always look forward to it. And
Thank you, Anna.
you know,
Thank you.
picnic or no picnic, whenever we speak about stuff, it's amazing. Thank you so much. So okay, I think that's about it. I think nobody else has anything to say, and it's quite late. 9:50 ho gaya. Or thank you so much for being here, everyone. In case there's something which arises later and you would like to talk about it, you can always email me. I'm available. I'm also available on Telegram now, but the picnic group will now be dissolved. The Sips of Misty group will be on, but I don't really encourage you to reach out to me there for like gupshup unless it's really important. My preferred mode of communication still remains emails. I love emails. And yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much to all of you for bringing the picnic back and bringing it back to life. See you next time. We'll see each other now at the new moon with some new ideas to explore. So thank you so much. Good night. Sleep well and dream well. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.